Have you ever run a perfectly balanced combat encounter that felt, well, boring? Like the dice were rolling, the damage was flowing, but somehow your players looked like they were waiting for their Uber Eats delivery more than they were fighting for their lives. That is what we call a flavorless session. Technically functional, but emotionally bland. It's tofu combat, and unless your players are hungry monks on a low carb diet, you can do better. Today we're talking about adding flavor to your sessions without touching the mechanics, no rule changes, no homebrew charts, just that delicious narrative seasoning that makes your game feel like a movie, a novel, or the most chaotic improv theater performance you've ever been part of. So let's roll. So what is flavor exactly? Flavor is everything that feels real in your world but doesn't require a single roll. It's the eerie groan of ancient wood when the haunted inn settles. It's the metallic tang in the air just before a storm hits. It's the way the warlock's eldritch blast doesn't just deal force damage, it screams an infernal as it hits. Flavor is what turns game mechanics into moments. You're not just casting fireball. You're hurling a chunk of burning starfire torn from the sky by your ancestors. Mechanically, it's still an 8d6, but now it matters. And why does flavor matter? Because your players didn't show up to reenact a spreadsheet. They're here to feel something. And the difference between I attack a goblin and I whip around, blade flashing in the torchlight, and aim a low strike at the goblin's exposed ribs is the difference between meh and, ah, dang, let's roll for damage. Now, you don't have to do these every time, but it's nice to sprinkle these in every once in a while. So let's start with the basics, describing actions. You don't have to be a poet. You just need to swap I hit with a little context. Say the fighter's sword hums when it tastes blood. Say the rogue's dagger vanishes into shadows between stabs. If a wizard casts shield, don't just say +5 AC. Say the air ripples as a translucent glyph shatters incoming forces like glass. Keep it short, keep it punchy, but give the action texture. And don't stop at combat. Your environments are begging for love. Dungeons should feel like more than hallways and traps. Make the floor sticky, make the walls pulse. Describe how torches flicker against carvings so old they've forgotten their meaning. If they're camping in the forest, don't just say it's nighttime. Say the trees groan in the wind like old bones, and something in the dark clicks when it walks. I just want to take a moment to thank everyone for helping me reach the 500 subscriber milestone. And as a way of saying a proper thank you and adding some flavor to your next campaign session, I've developed a D100 table of unique, very minor magical items. These items are guaranteed to add some flavor, texture to your next session, while not altering core mechanics, balance, or really having a deep impact on anything other than being cool and potentially creating some good roleplay moments. For example, one of the items on the list is the key of unused doors that always fits some door in town. Which one? That's for the DM to decide. Or how about boots of catfall that allow you to always land on your feet from short falls? What about the badge of minor authority that makes you appear slightly more official? I've got a free table of 100 of these to put as random loot in your dungeons or be the weird item that the magic shop sells. I put the link in the description below. And if you've already subscribed, thank you. And if you haven't, please consider it to help this channel grow. Okay, now let's get back to it. Now let's talk NPCs. Flavor doesn't mean every barkeep needs a tragic backstory and a gravelly accent, but one weird detail can make them memorable. Maybe the shopkeeper insists every transaction ends with a riddle. Maybe the town guard is terrified of frogs. Maybe the creepy librarian has one normal hand and one that's always stained with ink. These little touches don't change the game's mechanics at all, but they have your players talking about Inky Steve for months. Want another easy flavor win? Food. No, seriously, food is magic. Describe what the tavern stew tastes like. Invent weird local spices. Let the party sample roasted abysmal goose during regional festival. World building through cuisine makes your setting feel lived in. Same goes for holidays, superstitions, little cultural rituals, stuff you can toss in with one sentence that makes the world feel like it existed long before the players arrived. Okay, let's spice things up a little bit more with reflavoring abilities. The rules stay the same, but the skin changes. Your paladin's divine smite doesn't have to be radiant light from the gods. Maybe it's a burst of ancestral fury, or molten blood from a demonic pact she's pretending she didn't make. Definitely didn't make. Got a druid who turns into a wolf? Maybe every time she does, flowers wilt around her. Again, zero mechanically has changed, but now it tells a story. And here's the part that doesn't get enough talk. Your players can and should add flavor too. You adding flavor to your descriptions only encourages your players to do it themselves, and rewarding them only positively reinforces this. If the bard says their vicious mockery sounds like a haunting lullaby their grandmother sang to curse gods, let them run with it. If the barbarian wants their rage to smell like burning pine tar and hot iron, yes, amazing, do that. Whenever your players do this, be sure to dish out some heroic inspiration to make it clear that flavor is everyone's job. When the players buy in, the world gets richer by the minute. You don't need to be a professional writer. You don't need a thesaurus in one hand and a dramatic monologue in the other. All you need is to notice the little things and say them out loud. Add color, add sound, add smell, taste, and the occasional weird, unique, very minor magical item with no explanation. You get it. You see what I did there. So try to give a description that hits on at least one of the 5 senses. Because here's the truth. You can run the same exact session, same monsters, same loot, same challenge rating, and it can either feel like a tactical warm-up drill or a legendary chapter in your party's saga. The only difference, flavor. So next time you prep a session, don't just plan for what happens. Think about how it feels. Make it spicy, make it weird, and make it yours. And that's it for today's topic. If you've got a favorite flavor moment from your table or a time a player completely stole the spotlight with the weirdest description possible, drop it in the comments. I live for that stuff. And hey, if this helped you, toss me a like, maybe subscribe, maybe even throw a sentient cursed spoon into the party's next cup of soup. Just for fun. Speaking of which, don't forget to pick up your completely free table of unique, very minor magical items for your next session. Link is in the description below, or just search for Evil Penguin RPG at dmsguild.com. So until next time, may all your rolls be nat 20s.